Welcome back to Made Up of Wires, your favorite Castlevania Symphony of the Night decompilation stream. We are decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And if you want to know more about that project, you can go to soten.z.dev and learn more. You'll find a link to GitHub and a link to Discord. And you can see the status of various things that we've been working on, including the outer wall, which is where we've been spending our time. And there's a lot of people working in the space as well. So let's get back to it. I had some issues integrating the code that we worked on yesterday, which was the chair. And I have an idea of why that might be. And so let's go to that scratch and see if we can work through one of the things that I didn't finish off yesterday. And specifically, that is these sections that say illegal for the extension. We use M2C as an initial pass to come through and provide a kind of a first run decompile. And M2C does a good job at giving us a general structure, pulling out usually a superset of the variables that we'll need, getting signatures of functions and types of globals that we might not know yet. And then our job then is to match the things that M2C couldn't do. And in some cases, M2C is going to choose structures, fields of unions, and other things like that that aren't necessarily correct, and we need to go through and correct those. One of the things that is in place to make matching easier, but not to make compilation easier, is this illegal extension, and it's called illegal because it shouldn't match. It's just there to make it shouldn't be checked into the final decomp. It's just there to make matching easier. And it says we need to determine what extension this is, and that it's not ready to go yet. So we have the PlayStation version and the PSP version, and I'm going to do a few things here just to ensure that I'm using the right fields. And so it looks like what we primarily want is an entity extension structure that has a sign 16 at the start. I don't think that there is anything else here. We were working on another one where we were decrementing that value. That was earlier in the week, though, and I'm confusing that. So let's look at that and see if that fixes things. So I'm going to go to the context. I'm going to look for the ext structure, and the ext structure is where all of our entity extensions are. Basically, for every type of thing that's in Symphony of the Night, we have a different struct to represent the data that's custom to that, and then those all go in, and as long as that data fits in, I think this starts at 7C, so between 7C and 8B, that number of bytes were fine. No, B8, I'm sorry. BC? So maybe we have 40 bytes or so. Make that 64. So we're going to call this entity chair. And I don't think a chair has been, like I said yesterday, I don't think anybody has decompiled a chair before. So we have a nice starting place. And so we don't know what this this field is or what it's used for. We just know that it's getting set to hex 100. And that's about it. And so this could be a bit field. This is some flag that's being set. So A is 1010. So we have 0000, 1010, and then 8 bits of zeros. It could be a timer. It's hard to know. The other thing that this could be, and I don't think that it necessarily is, we can look at the I think the PSP would have caught this. I was going to say it could be the upper 8 bits of 2 bytes, and that this is just the more optimal instruction to write those, but I don't think that's the case. Otherwise, the PSP version wouldn't match, and I think we determined yesterday that the PSP version is matching here. So we have a matching chair on the PSP as well. If you're just joining us, this chair function from yesterday wasn't matching, and so I'm going to create a new structure. We don't know what this is yet, so it's just going to be called unknown. And I'm going to try to use that to get it to match. So for the chair, we have to add a new field to the union as well. If you're not familiar with unions, it's not really like modern enumerated types that have data. All of these are basically occupying the same space. They're just different ways to access that space. Good evening, Dig Down Deep. Good to have you back. And so then back here, we should be able to replace the ext illegal with chair unknown 0. And that should give us the same decompilation. Back on the project side, I'm going to have to copy that struct into our entity header and get that all set up there, duplicate that work so the context doesn't exist in the project itself. It's it's created from these header files. Hey, Project Oblivion, good to have you. Welcome. So we have the chair entity extension. Now I'm going to try to import this again and see if the same issue persists. There is one other possibility. I'll be a little bummed if it's this. It'll take a little more work, and it's not necessarily useful work. But the other possibility is that because we have a switch whose jump table is written to read-only data, we may need a file split here for alignment purposes, and we'll only need that until everything above this is decompiled. I'm going to try this one more time, and we'll see if we fail. We do fail. So yeah, my guess here is that, unfortunately, the way that we need to align these, we need some extra padding between these two functions, and we're not going to get that until we split the file. So let's try splitting the file. A less fun process, but something that needs to be done from time to time. So we have the splat config here, and we've been working in unknown 35E20. And I'm going to introduce a new split. We just use the function name, or the offset that was given. So we want, and we have to look at what the overlay offset is. So subtract the overlay offset from the address of this function. So we'll get, let's see, 34768, I think. Sorry. Yeah, probably 34768. I don't know why this file is named 35E2. That is confusing. So I'm going to create a new C file named that. And basically I need to take, so when these are compiled for GCC, whatever order the functions are defined in the file, that's the order that they're going to appear in the final object that gets created. And let's see if there's anything else I need to think about. The RO data shouldn't matter, I don't believe. Though we could associate it with this file because we're generating that jump table. But I think ignoring that for now probably makes the most sense. Actually, I do need to look to see whether or not jump table data was coming from that file already. I don't see any. Oh, this was RO data originally. Okay, I was screwing that up a little bit, but should be able to fix it. I was looking at the wrong segments. My offset needs to be down here, and this is going to be, let's just look at the assembly file. So the split is going to be at 38068. Screwed up my numbers. There we go. And that's why that offset above was named the way it is. We're going to get this jump table from exactly there, 346 BC. So let's try that. Basically, we're forcing the alignment now. So I'm going to run a make extract because we've changed the split. And we'll try making again and see how it goes, see if that works. We might have to clean and rebuild. I'm missing init common. Let me make sure I have the right type for that. It looks like it's an array, and it wasn't being used as an array. Or it wasn't, M2C didn't identify it as an array. All right, and let's continue. Yeah, so we're gonna have to clean, unfortunately. Oh no, my mistake. I named this this file incorrectly, so let me get the right name for the file. It's 38068. And that's just the offset that this is going to be in memory. I should say the offset in the overlay. There's wall chicken. Dig down deep. There's wall chicken and so maybe wall. Is it chicken, roast chicken, or roast? Yeah, roast chicken. I'll need to extract again. So we have a undefined reference here. And that's because when I was working on it before in the other file, I made it static, and so it's not visible. And I made it static because there's nothing else that's going to call this function. We still failed. Let me try. I'm going to do a Hail Mary and try cleaning. Let me... Yeah, I'm going to do that. And we'll see if that comes up. There's something wrong with my... And I probably just need to nuke everything and start over. There's something wrong with my build environment right now. It's going to fail regardless. And starting it again will get us closer. So we have a few types. Oh, this is from when I was working in on the BIOS, sorry, the libcd stuff. These types are more correct than the types that were previously defined, so let me fix those. A lot to fix. I haven't cleaned in a while. Let's see, this is in source main, SDK, right? Oh, that's not what I wanted. So there's a few variables in here that I just need to fix. These were somewhat interesting. Not that one. B68. They're not there either. Where are these variables? I'm the only person defining this. Oh, it's defined right above him. Why would this ever have worked? Working out global volatile means that any read to that global or field or anything like that will always take place even if the compiler thinks that it knows what the cached value is, because it's probably memory mapped hardware. And what do we have now? Some more missing. Files. Oh, the next thing. When you split a file, all of the include ASMs are going to be relative, or they're relative to the version's assembly directory, but they're absolute in terms of what file they're being pulled from. So we need to fix that as well. And unfortunately, that means cleaning again. Let me just try to extract. Because there wasn't matches for these functions when extract went through the first time with the include ASM macro, Splat isn't going to extract those functions. So we're failing again. So let's look at what the failure looks like and see. So there's 8 bytes, it looks like, that are different between the two. And yeah, I was seeing this earlier. So it starts at 07C. Sorry, let's see. It actually starts right away at offset 0. And where is our difference here? The 3C and the 4.4 are different. So let's open that data and see what we have. So that's the seventh byte in there. And I should be able to close a lot of this now. See if I should do this. With the split, it's possible that I broke something else. And so before proceeding, I'm going to put the assembly back for this function. And build again and make sure that building succeeds. And it didn't. I'm going to clean just to make sure. Sometimes splitting can, there can be problems here. Oh, that have been the problem? I don't know. We'll see if this... No, we still failed. So there's something wrong with the split. And let's see if we can figure out what that is. So there's 2 parts. There's RO data and there's the C file itself, which goes in the text section. For 6BC, that's where our O table is. Let's look at what is in 34688 and where that's coming from. And if this doesn't work out, we can move on to something else and see. So this is coming from the jump table from this other function. Okay, so this is, and this seems to be where our, possibly where the difference in size is happening. because we have this RO data, there is a gap between 6A4 and 346 CC, or sorry, BC. Let me look for a reference to A8, because that should be there unless it's padding that gets shoved in there for alignment. Three, four, six, A8. There is, yeah, coincidentally it shows up in this value in data, but it's unrelated. All right, so Project Oblivion, when you say you had the same issue last night, was it related to RO data or alignment? Oh, the environment being goofed up. Yeah, it happens. Mine is probably my own fault. I was messing with Soten disk, and so my Soten disk might be slightly broken at the moment. All right, so what do I want to look at here? I want to look at this 068 function. Yeah, it often is our own fault, and sometimes that's hard to see. So, getting older, you forget the things that you've done. So I am going to make clean one more. No, I did do that, didn't I? Just for kicks, I'm going to do it one more time. I'm trying to think of what else might be happening here. Usually a file split is pretty straightforward. One thing I can do, and this is kind of a nuclear option as well, is ignore the RO data that's coming from the C file and just use the RO data that was extracted from the disk. This isn't necessarily optimal because we want to be generating this data, and we're saying, trust us, the jump table that we need for our switch statement is going to be the same as what was extracted from the disk. That may work. There still is this gap, though, that I'm not sure where it's coming from. So let's try that, and we'll see if that helps. Unfortunately, that doesn't get us closer to... no, those are getting named differently. So we can't do that either. Forgot. All right. Yeah. Okay, so let me revert this and get this back into the original 3.5 E2O file. And I'll leave this as a problem for another day. So I can delete this file. And then back in... Oh, shoot. Took the wrong RO data. Let's try it again. That happens sometimes. Okay, recreated the file. 38068 or 38068. I move this. All right, and now I'm going to take that extracted RO data, and I think the bottom part, I hadn't modified that at all, so I think that's fine. All right, so we'll do a make extract on a make again and see what happens. Lots of symbols that are missing. This I'm a little surprised about in general. There's nothing that I'm doing here that is or should be out of the ordinary. I'm just splitting a file. So why I'm unable to do that this morning? Not clear. But we'll try to get through it. Nice fast build. Builds have gotten much longer. Yeah, we still see these undefined references. And last thing I'm going to try before reverting all this, just to go back to this RO data again. Yeah, it's failing again. So I'm going to pull the data at offset 0, and likely what this is one of these rooms. Is the function for this room occurs after these chair entity functions, and so when the padding gets shifted, the address of that function gets shifted as well. So we see a diff in that address. But it's kind of a red herring. And the 7C0 difference, that's 20 versus 28. My guess is that that is a red herring as well. It's just an address that's changed because the offset is different. So really what we want is around the either the jump table area, which should be at three, 4, 6 BC. So here's 3, 4, 6 B. And so C is going to be 8, 9 A, B, C. That's 80. And then in ours, 80, and we have AC instead of A4. Again, that's an 8-byte offset difference. So the next diff starts at 346F0. And 346F0 so here's 6 bytes of padding. Those exist, so those are the same. But then we have that same 8-bit offset, or 8-byte offset at 4C here. And then the end, we have that 8-byte difference as well. All right, so where are the 8 bytes? So somewhere in here there should be an obvious area where one side is bigger than the other. So in this previous one, we go to 346B or C0, and that's the same there. This one goes 6F0 to 3460. So unfortunately, our extra bytes probably are somewhere in the middle. Let's look at the offset of that jump table. The jump table is 346BC. I think I did look at that already, though. There's some more advanced tools for comparing these. Sozu has some nice tools in the SciQ decomp for looking at this as well. I'm gonna move on though. It's probably gonna take me a little bit of time to resolve whatever that issue is. So unfortunately, we won't get a match for that in the project today, but we should be able to get one soon. So here I'm going to just return all these things back to their original file. And I should be able to get rid of that now. Make sure I save this. Oh, I'll also need to restore these file names. And that is working again. So sorry about that. Not sure what specifically is going on. Actually, this may be related. They include RO data here. This is something that we didn't used to have. We just include RO data through the splat config. So there may be something going on there. This is likely what's happening. This offset here, B4 7B0, it's being included as RO data before the RO data that's generated by this file through like the jump tables and things like that. And so this probably needed to stay here. Let me see if there's another one of those. That's my guess, is that that may have needed to come first. And let's see what happens if we move that to the top of the file. No, we failed the build there. So there's something going on with that that likely would have resolved that. I'm going to take a little break and be right back. And then we'll get to something new in the outer wall. Stand by. All right, we're back. So let's move on to a new outer wall thing. I could actually, now that I see this RO data, I could spend some more time here. We could look at what this is, and let's do that. Let's look at what this ungainly thing is. So yeah, the way that we used to build these files was RO data was RO data and code was code. What didn't work as nicely with that model was that jump tables for functions with large switch statements, of which there's a lot of. The switch statement would be, or the jump table would be off in some far off RO data file Or there might be an RO data segment that is relatively large and has all of the jump tables just one after another in it. And so if you went to decompile that in decomp.me, you'd have to go find the appropriate jump table as well. And it's kind of pain, and was a harder thing, especially for people coming onto the project. I know that even for PSP especially, I struggled creating new scratches correctly many times in decomp.me with the previous model. So it is definitely nice to have RO data intermixed like this. The cases that are weird are ones like this where there is, it's going to be a non-matching, probably. Just data being imported directly into the C file. And a lot of times what this is, and so this is at offset 47B0. What this may be is a static string. In this case, it looks like it just may be a static struct. And so the compiler pulls that out and sticks that into the RO data section outside of the... So we're used to seeing immediate values, like just integer values being shoved into registers in code. This is pulled out and copied in some other way or referenced in some other way. I'm going to look to see if anything is referencing this. And the better option, I shouldn't say the better option, one option may be to split at that file. And so we'll try doing that. All right, so we know that it's a rect, which is good to know, and it looks like there might be some padding after it. Because this is being defined in this file, one of the things we could do is just declare it right there in this function. So let's do that. I think that actually may be what's happening. And that can be hard when decompiling. Is this looks like it's just some global variable, but what it actually is inline data. So this unused is a rect, and so what we can do is basically define this rect inline. Let me grab what that is. Include is this going to, I'll try game. I'm not sure where this is. Yeah, not there. Rect is in libgpu, so this is a PS1 SDK function or a structure. So x, y, width, height, and fortunately these are in the order that we want, but they are little endian, so we need to keep that in mind. I believe that is when M2C pulled this out, it didn't know what type of struct this was, and so it just treated them as 32-bit values. So that should do the same thing. We're going to possibly run into the same issue here, where this data now is being generated as RO data. There may be RO data that we need beforehand. And that we're not accounting for. So always different things that can trip up alignment and make alignment a little more difficult. So now we're 4 bytes off instead of 8 bytes. Let's see where that unused rect was here. So what I'd like to do is split here. And so 47B0 is going to be part of this split now. And as long as there's no other RO data, that should be fine. So let's try again. So the RO data that I'm interested in is at 347B0. So I need to see where that's going to be. And the split is going to happen at this BD90. And to read gravity well, I only talk to made up of wires chat in memory addresses. All right, so now we need to go do the split down here as well. And it's going to be a 3BD90. And I pretty much have to go through the same thing. And hopefully this time it works out a little better, but we'll see. So I'm going to create a new file and call that 3BD90. We'll pull these out. We'll include our standard header. And make extract and make and see what happens. Failed again. Yeah, so now we're still 4 bytes off. And our 4 bytes I'm wondering if it's so what we had earlier was the C000 F000. Look for that. Get it backwards. So that's at 347B0. And let's see where it is on ours. So those are in the right place. but then there's padding afterwards that we don't have of 4 bytes. So let's try one more thing. We have a rect. Yeah, I don't think that will make a difference. Let's we can do this. This will be this can be defined out of this function. And then for kicks, we can, there's a macro called static pad, which will stick 4 empty bytes there. And then we can reference that. Set. Static pad row data. Still failing. Different type of failure this time. Definitely an offset issue. So yeah, where basically this is appearing in the wrong place. It should be at 347B0, but it's at 34670. Let me see if I screwed that up in the splat config. Before 670 is much later. 0 should be right. 347B0. Let me. What else can we do here? Put the static pad after, and move this back in line. And then I'll be done if this isn't going to work. I'd rather spend stream time. Oh, that worked. Okay. Oops. Super gross. Now, all of that, so I could get my stupid chair function in here. Let's find where the chair function was, and let's see it now if this one is going to work. No, that one still failed. I still think I'll need a split there to get that jump table in the right place, but the other one's working. Still a little sketchy, in my opinion. Chat's read-only data. So let's find what's next in here to decompile. We were working in this 35E20 function or file. We could go down from the top or up from the bottom, or we could look for more of these that were commented. So here's we have some things that are for entering the arc. Those are probably good to look at. It's definitely possible that these are helper functions for this bottom function down here, so it's probably best to start with the bottom function and then work back up. So I'm going to grab that one and we'll start decompiling that and see how far we can get. These are both going to be the same thing, just different splits that I had made earlier. And we can go to decomp.me. That can be frustrating when you do hit situations like this where the RO data kind of screws you over for integrating the code back in. Here we have a jump table as well. Previously, the most straightforward thing always was to just split at that location. And that forces your alignment then to where you expect. And then once everything has been decompiled, you can merge those files back again. In the case of the chair, it actually might be good to split that out anyway, because that likely is reused somewhere else. I should have provided a function signature, but we'll see if M2C can figure it out. While we're waiting here, sad news about David Lynch, if you haven't heard. I'm definitely a fan of David Lynch, and bummed to hear of his passing. While he hadn't done any like feature projects lately, the stuff that he was doing on YouTube was fun, and it was always just nice to have weird new things that probably shouldn't exist in a commercial space, but that he was able to get out there somehow. So cheers to David Lynch, and thanks for everything he did. If you like David Lynch and haven't seen Straight Story, that is a great movie. One of the few David Lynch movies you can watch with the family. Obviously, Dune is good. Actually, my... do I have it up here close by? Oh, I do have it close by. Some of my early Twitch streaming involved streaming the game Dune for the Sega CD, David Lynch's Dune, with Kyle MacLachlan, who was also in Twin Peaks. And I got copyright struck because I forgot that the soundtrack was done by Toto, and there's just some real like atmospheric synths that are in a FMV at the beginning of the game with what's her name? Sean. Is it Sean? I can't remember her. But it just sounds like very just atmospheric synth, and Twitch caught it as a Toto song. And so I don't believe those exist anymore, those streams. So we know this is something that was in the ARC, but other than that, don't know what it is yet. And so we'll have to figure that out. We're going to go through and fix the common things. Yeah, just take the VOD down. Yeah, not a strike. Yeah, that was no trouble. Just just removal of the VOD. So all of these go-tos, I'm going to just replace. It's just incrementing the step and breaking. So as long as we're doing those things, we should be fine, and that should match. This actually matched pretty well from the start. So unless there's something funny, we may be able to get this one in quickly. The sound effects we can look up to see if the sound effect has been used before, and that will give us some idea of what this may be. We do have a case here. Very often, the default case for a switch is not set, and when we see a default, it really just means it should have been the end of the switch statement and just what everything does afterwards. So this is interesting to see that it actually is a default case. Flags being set interestingly. I'm going to look at flags and see what is right next to it. I didn't think flags was a 32-bit value, but I could be wrong. Oh, it is 32-bit, okay. There's a lot of cases like this where instead of I guess this is fine. I was thinking maybe this was basically an exclusive OR, but it doesn't look like that. All right, so what else is going on? So we're decrementing the position by 16. We don't need to read it and do that any other way. This bar V0 is probably written like this. And we can get rid of that. And my guess is that it comes before the 16, but it might not. And that's actually getting us very, very, very much further from where this was. I'm going to revert that. I will change this to an else, however. And we should be able to do a plus equals. I will rename that to offset x. Kind of going down from the top and seeing what looks like it may be wrong or off. So the way that this animation frame is being read, maybe it's not an animation frame. What is this? Do we not have a definition for that? No, unfortunately. Are we? Stream is good. This is interesting. I'm surprised that this Oh, I'm wrong tab. There we go. So we have this. I'm looking over here to see what this might be. If it's an array, for example, and are we checking, or possibly a struct, what is going to get that ordering to work? And that did fix the ordering. So this is either an array or a struct. And so we need that additional indirection to get the ordering correct. These are often just wildly out of order. And so we'll have to try to figure out the order of these. Sometimes that's straightforward, sometimes it's not. The position X most likely happening much sooner. So Z priority is going to be assigned to I am going to move the calculation for X offset up above the Y offset calculation. Ugh. The ordering for all those is real funny. I'm going to try this again. And this is one of those things that the PSP version would be very helpful in figuring out. Yeah, this isn't. That ordering is eluding me at the moment. So we'll keep going down and see if there's any progress we can make down here. This var v0. We have another case where we don't know what the entity extension type is. I'm going to make the assumption that this is a else, but like above with the X, that assumption was failing. So it worked better there. This could be a ternary, possibly. And it might not be an explicit check against 0. Without the PSP version, we don't know. So here I'm going to say greater than hex 47. 47 is 60, what, 71? And then continuing down, everything else actually looks just right. There's probably some, or maybe some variables or other things down here that could be fixed, but doesn't seem like much. Let's get rid of these and see if temp v0 we haven't gotten rid of yet. Let's find where that is. So this is a decrement, and likely in line. This could be a timer. And so we stay at case 0. Sorry, case 2, while the timer is continuing. Let's treat this as a sine 16. All right, so then I think I'm stuck with the ordering up here. So we have animation frame index changing based on what params is set to. I'm going to put that together. And usually this won't affect the compilation at all. This reference here is pointing to an array, and so we don't need the reference operator. This may affect things as well. This is struct access, and that did. And so that might aid in getting the correct order of these. Yeah, sometimes the ordering is funny. I might grab the PSP version to get the ordering. That probably would go faster than this. And let's find these other animations. So this is something that has 3 different animations, depending on the case. Based on the parameters that get passed in, the time is going to be either hex 200 frames or hex 300 frames. And for those that don't know and don't speak hex, that's either 512 frames, which would be 8 seconds, or I guess 12 seconds, right? Yeah, 12 seconds. So something that's going to take 8 or 12 seconds. And then we have the sound effect as another hint as to what this might be. So let's look at the sound effect before grabbing the PSP version, and maybe we can figure out what this is. So we have a sound effects header. This one isn't going to be in there specifically. So this says quick stutter explode. This is in the main. Sorry, I need C, 6.8C, right? Yes. So this is 6.8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A, B, C. Wing flap. Oh. This seems like one of the birds. So is this the bird that's flying around, or is it one of the chicks? We don't know. So we do have the macro for this, however, and it's SFX wing flap A. in. On 66 side squeeze. So my guess is that this is the bird. And so we'd have to go back down to the arc and see. While we're here, let's pull the PSP function. I'm going to start with the sound effect ID. 68C. We have a couple functions that are using it. Some of them have been mapped to other things. I don't think that's ours. And there's this one that is referencing it one time. I'm going to try that one. And so what I want to see is, do we have a function call near the end to something that's a field of a struct? That's what it looks like here, this jump and link register. So we have to calculate the offset of this field in the GAPI struct. We can't just reference it directly. So I'm 2 points for it. I'm going to try that one. And we know what this function signature should be. Other news today is the Switch 2 teaser was released. Anybody see the Switch 2 teaser? It's, at least for me, somewhat difficult to get excited because being a teaser, it looks exactly like the Switch for the most part, a little bigger. Likely isn't going to have a OLED screen. Which is a bummer. If it does, that would be awesome. So here we have a load of 0. Entropy Gravity Well hasn't bought a console since the PS4. The PS4 kind of got me back into console gaming. I had a PS3 that I bought really late for Ni no Kuni. I'm a big Hayao Miyazaki fan, so having a Hayao Miyazaki game was incredible. So let's figure out where this V1 is going. So this V1 is going here. I'm going to try this. This seems strange to me. Okay, that's that's what that was. There's, I don't know, there's just so much complexity to PC gaming that I wasn't going to spend the money to upgrade constantly. So I kind of fell out of PC gaming. And I've tried to get back in with some things, and it just never sticks for me. I like the convenience of a console. So we have a slightly different slightly different location we're branching to here. So does that mean that there is... Okay, so there's something else down. Got it. Not a concern. So our registers are different. That's not a concern right now. Now we're back up to this section, and we should be able to get the ordering. I'm going to go up first and try to resolve these. Yeah, I enjoy RPGs as well. Over Christmas, I picked up Super Mario RPG, and I know it's going to be 40 hours. And do I've like, what else can I do in 40 hours? Quite a bit. I was playing. I really like Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. I'm getting to the end of that. That took a little over a week. Just casually playing at night, and it's an okay Metroidvania. There's a lot of platforming. Baldur's Gate 3, yeah, I heard that Baldur's Gate 3 just had an immense amount of time that you had to dedicate it. That seemed way out of my comfort zone for what I would want. All right, so I'm going to try doing a couple things here. I'm going to do an OR equals with this first flag. And then I'm going to do an AND equals with the mask. And yeah, that looks better. Any of the, like MMORPGs, I saw what that did to some of my friends, and I just never wanted to get into that. It seemed like you could get lost. Yeah. I've mentioned before on the stream that I play Overwatch with my son, and I wouldn't say that it's the same, but actually, a couple of my sons and I play Overwatch together. It's a lot of fun playing together as a family, and I enjoy that aspect of it a lot. But if you play by yourself, yeah, you could just do it and do nothing else. And there's not a lot of progress that you make. There's not a lot of I don't know, anything. Like, it's just there, and it's going to be there tomorrow, and maybe you'll have some different customization for the way a character looks, but that's about it. Definitely fun. I wouldn't say that it's not. Okay, so we're not quite there. There we go. And what I like about ESP is that it will tell us the order of these very clearly, and I don't have to try to guess at what all these things are. until we get to here, at which point I have to guess what these things are. So we're starting to offset 52. After loading params, so it almost seems like there was originally a return here, because there's a jump to the end. What was that? So we're missing something up here. Let me look at the cheat and look at the decomp. So we have animation frame index. Okay, so we're setting it to 0 unconditionally first. And this is probably the same structure, which is why it's being set first. And that looks like it may have solved the PSP version. These are backwards. Here, params looks like it may be the facing left, or being used for facing left. We have one AT versus V0. The only other function call here is update animation. So I'm not quite sure why V0 is being protected or not used. Find that again. 40, line 40. Oh, this makes more sense to do this way. Nice even numbers, or not. Greater equal to 72? Really? And that fixes that. So there's a match for PSP, and I would expect this now to match on the PlayStation as well. Immediate value differences, which is fine, and everything else looks good. So we got another one. Throw a little party. All right, so I think that's where I'm going to end it today. If you want to know more about the Symphony Night Decompilation project, go to soten.z.dev. If there's something specific that you want to know about the game or learn about, feel free to join us Monday through Thursday on Twitch, or comment in YouTube. You can always come by Twitch and chat, even if we're not streaming. Maybe I'll see it, maybe I won't. I do read the YouTube chats, though, and respond to those eventually. We were working on the outer wall, and I believe this function has something to do with the birds, but as it gets integrated, we'll see a little more. I think that's all I have for you. I hope everybody has a great weekend. If you are in the California area, thoughts and prayers, and stay safe, definitely. A lot of people going through a lot of hard times. But we'll be back here on Monday doing more decompiling. Adios.